I've been getting a lot of questions on my recent Instagram post about what my opinions are about strongman competitions, what I like to see in strongman competitions, where I think the sport is and where the sport is going. And it's a lot to wrap my head around. I never really take too much time to think about it. But one thing I've really loved lately is to see how much these Arnold competitions are going and how much more systematic they're getting. Because just a few years ago when I entered the scene, the 10 competitors that were invited to the Arnold, Ohio stage were completely handpicked, just based on politics. And I love that now they've made it more of an official sport, that you have to do well in other Arnold's basically there's a point system. You have to do well in other Arnold competitions to get invited to the main stage in Arnold, Ohio. And I love that because that makes it a lot more competitive, that makes it a lot more honest, and then truly the 10 best, strongest men will be standing on top of that stage. So this is a different series than, of course, the Giants Live series, which leads to World's Strongest Man, which is one of my ultimate favorite competitions. It's not paid as well as the Arnold Classic Ohio, and it's a totally different animal. The World's Strongest Man competition has more events. They're not necessarily quite as heavy. There's a lot more movement events, a lot more technical events, and oftentimes the weights are slightly lighter, although sometimes they could get brutally heavy as well. So I find that for World's Strongest Man, you have to be a better athlete in general, just overall well-rounded athlete. And in the Arnold, Ohio stage, there's only 5 events typically, and they're all just brute strength, static events. And this competition is unique for that, and everybody's fallen in love with that because if you're moving something, it's for a very short distance, and it's gonna be brutal weights. And it's exciting to see that, to really see what people can absolutely do when push comes to shove, even if it's for one lift or just a 10 to 15 foot carry of some sort. But that also leads into a lot of injuries. I've never seen the Arnold Classic Ohio run without anybody getting injured. It is a dangerous competition, and a lot of events have had to change lately because of how many injuries they provoked. Then there's other UCL, SCL, Ultimate Strongman Champions League is one of my favorites with Glenn Ross as well. I've competed in Summer Mania and their World Championships, and it's always such a great show with half of the auditorium full and just light. Basically, they shoot up fire every time they introduce an athlete. Wonderful show. But I'd like to see it grow a little bit more and become a little bit more international. Right now it's really just primarily in the UK. And I don't know too much about SCL competitions, to be honest. I've never competed in one. I know a lot of pro strongmen at a high level love that circuit. So maybe one day I'll see. Right now my main focus is World's Strongest Man and Arnold's, because they're the highest paid and the most renowned. Typically, whoever wins World's Strongest Man is known as the World's Strongest Man, but the Arnold, Ohio show, I think, also deserves that title as well, because even though they're totally two different beasts of competition, anybody that wins the Arnold, Ohio also deserves that title because it's just so brutally heavy as well. And both competitions have the best strongman athletes in the world competing in them. There's another one in Dubai, the official Strongman Dubai show. I can't wait for that. That's brand new. I have no idea what to expect. I'm very excited because it has the same pay as Arnold, Ohio, so thank goodness for that. More high-level shows with a higher pay is always welcome in this sport to help us athletes grow and pay our bills and get by, because you know we bust our backs out there for you fans, and we love what we do, but of course it's a taxing sport, and to see more money come into it is it's filling in here for me. So that's it. My main focus right now is Dubai, the Arnold shows, and winning World's Strongest Man. Oddly enough, I have not seen the events in Strongman change too much while I've been a professional strongman, but I've definitely noticed that as I've watched the sport, it's become much more specialized. And a lot of the shows that I grew up watching as a kid, the weights were way lighter than what we're doing now. And I think what's happening now is as the sport's growing, there's more athletes in it, and the equipment is becoming more and more available. It's also becoming a more standardized show, standardized sport. So before in Strongman in the early days, it was whatever weird implement was interesting to press overhead, they throw in a contest. Right now, more recent competitions are more leaning towards log press and axle press and dumbbell pressing versus block pressing, stone pressing, and also whatever weird other kind of pressing they used to have in the early days of Strongman. And this is kind of a double-edged sword. For one, the weights are becoming brutally heavy lately, which is very interesting to watch because everybody, just about anybody that's in Strongman has access to this equipment, but there's less variety of events than there used to be. Because basically in the early days, it was whatever was interesting, whatever was physically difficult to move, throw it in there. Now it's become very rhythmic. We have the yoke, we have farmers or frame carry, we have stones, we have log pressing of some sort, and a deadlift. And those are the 5 most common events that we see over and over again in these shows. So we keep seeing these weights rise up, getting to ridiculous levels. But I don't think our current strongmen of the modern day are as versatile as the earlier ones were, that basically had to adapt to whatever was thrown in front of them. I actually prefer it the way it is now because I just love to see these events get more specialized and become heavier and more interesting to watch, and to really set some world records as to what is possible for us to move at the heaviest level. So I can't wait to see the future of Strongman and where the sport is going, and I love that I'm a part of it. So if you guys have any questions, comment below. I'll be sure to answer.